All right. Well, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Wow, we had 44 people here. Okay.
Now you can't even find the channel because I couldn't find it on my end at all.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to log into it, and it's
this is video unavailable. The YouTube account has been closed. That is crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I am so sorry.
Here. Was this helpful? No.
Well, what did you do? You provided factual material, and that's too much for Islam.
Oh yeah, we're proving it right. Lloyd is proving it right here. It's not about ascertaining the truth, right?
Yeah, and it's a secret. I'm revealing a secret.
Yep.
Nobody's gonna see my video now, man. I worked really hard on that.
Oh no, we'll show it. We'll show it.
Wow.
Okay, hold on. Let me try to no, it says, let's see. Google reserves. Let's see. If you have been redirected to this page for a particular product, it means your access to this product has been suspended. Your access to this Google product has been suspended because of a perceived violation of either Google terms of service or product-specific terms of. Let me put this up on the screen. I don't want to sit here and read it to you. Okay.
So Shepherd's Hook and Aladdin probably working together. Yeah.
This could be somebody else.
Hold on.
Aladdin
okay, hold on, guys.
bothering us and getting his 5 cents.
Okay,
the thing is, look, I've blocked Aladdin a long time ago because there's just no value in talking
he's a mess. Yeah.
I don't. So some of these guys are a threat, and
think,
I removed them.
I don't think Aladdin has the ability to do that.
No, it's not him.
No, this is someone else.
No.
This is we know who it is. Working with somebody else. We already know who it is. But actually,
okay,
that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I'll talk to you later about it. And we continue on the show because I'm very interested to hear what our guest has to say because it's very interesting stuff.
So I'll put it up. We'll save the video and I'll put it up on my show later.
We'll have to contact them.
Yeah, YouTube closed his channel just now while we're doing the show. YouTube terminated the show. Actually, his channel.
Wow.
All right. Well,
sorry.
we'll work on getting it back. If not, we'll build it up again. No problem.
But understand, we've said nothing that was particularly offensive.
There's nothing hateful. There's no rhetoric that can be perceived. I mean, again, Lloyd, the three of us, Eric, you and I are educators. There's nothing that has been. There's nothing hateful. There's nothing. In fact, it's all been sourced, and I think that's the big thing. You shared what is called a secret, and they're upset because you shared a secret.
Well, let's admit who this is. This is Charles, and that's who we know. That's who we know it is.
And the troll, yeah.
Well, he is the troll. What other troll are you talking about?
No, Ziad.
Well,
yes.
Maybe Ziad.
This actually proves Islam is not clear. The Quran is not clear. If you want to keep the secret.
Okay, well, I'm confused here because I'm saying that we're still. Well, this is StreamYard, but it says we have 45 people viewing right now.
That's on your Facebook.
That's on Facebook.
So let's continue then, I guess. If that's
all right,
the
let's
case.
go. Let's quit drowning in our tears here and let's move on.
All right,
let's contact Google. So
I will. I'll take care of it tonight. And once we're done with the show,
Okay.
But you remember, you only got 2 hours, and you only have an hour and a half left, so we better hurry.
Yeah. So I'm trying to touch on different things without going into too much depth into any one thing. Although you did say you'd like me to talk about child marriage, and I will do that, which is pretty. So please, if you have children in the room, take them out of the room when we get to that section because it's going to get pretty dark. But understand that, you see, even the Encyclopedia of Islam, which costs $40,000 to buy, it's $40,000 or $45,000 to buy this, right? And it's like $5,000 a year to rent. This is the premier gold standard resource, academic resource in Islam. It's written by hundreds of scholars. It's more than a century old. It's over 110 years old. And it is written by hundreds, if not thousands, of scholars over the last century plus. And it has a lot of Muslims contributing to it as well. And they check it and verify it. So it's the top Western scholars, the top Islamic scholars. But much of what is written here, you'll find, if you know the subject well, it often whitewashes things or leaves things out or adds things in or change, so you have to always factor in what is being altered to defend Islam by apologist scholars. There's always that angle. But understand it's pretty clear, and I can go into great depth on this, not now, but hopefully this just introduces the fact, and I can go into depth another time, that Islamic debate is not about finding truth, it's about winning.
Okay,
Right.
and three parts of that were sophistry, deception, and propaganda. Regardless of whether you're telling the truth, you just got to win the debate, even if you have to lie.
Yes. Yeah, and of course, well, if we go into the lying, so actually we briefly went into the discussion on lying, right?
Yeah, can you share your screen again? Oh, you did. I'm sorry. Never mind.
I
Let me
did,
put you back up. Yeah, let me put you back up here. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so just to show where we were with, this is not a matter of finding the truth, but of convincing the opponent. They said it very nicely. It's got a certain euphemistic tone to it. Now, we spoke about this, the Great Commission in Islam, but let's go back to the discussion on obligatory lying, which I believe was here. What I'll do is I'll jump into this. So just briefly, so lying, permissible lying and obligatory lying, right? So let me go back to obligatory lying. And now this is not the only source. I could go to another source on this, but I'll skip that for the time being. Well, in the interest of time, so that I can cover multiple other topics. But let me do this. Oh, notice here that Allah teaches hatred. Okay. So I am tale-bearing. So look, I am doing two things, a couple of things that need to be mentioned. Revealing something confidential whose disclosure is resented. Right, that's what I am doing. So, and that is defined in Islam as slander and tale-bearing. So notice tale-bearing consists of revealing anything whose disclosure is resented. So I have broken an Islamic law because I've revealed things that are resented. Now, slander in Islam, okay, slander has a different meaning than it does in Western law. While they do have the same meaning as us in one context, right, it is also unfortunate that slander, notice Islam has permissible slander. So you're not allowed to slander Islam on the pain of death, but they can slander you. Slander is permissible for lawful purposes as countenanced by sacred law. Muslims are allowed to slander. It's legal. There are 6 specific circumstances where they are told that they're allowed to use slander. But let me go to bugger. Let me just find the
You've been hanging out with us too long, Lloyd.
Yeah. No, you just made me think, okay, slander. Now, slander means, in Western law, means to say something about someone that causes them reputational harm, financial damage, some kind of harm to their life, right? To their status in society and so on. Notice the definition in Islamic law. Slander means to mention something concerning a person that he would dislike.
That's pretty
now,
wide.
We have said something. Yeah, it doesn't mean to lie. It does not mean to say something untrue. It means to say something true that they wouldn't like you to say. So we are currently slandering Islam, and we have been guilty of tale-bearing as well. Understand, that is a completely different, that's an inversion of Western law. To slander for us is to lie, whereas for them it's to tell the truth. To slander someone is to tell the truth, that you should keep secret, because it embarrasses a Muslim, it embarrasses Islam, and that is a sin.
But if you offend, it looks to me like if you offend them, it's about the same thing. Am I correct on that?
Correct. And then they see. So now notice, if you reveal, okay, something whose disclosure is resented. Now this is tale-bearing. I've revealed something, and a person should not speak of anything he notices about people except what benefits a Muslim. See? So, and if we are speaking slander or tale-bearing, what I'm doing is tale-bearing. This information is tale-bearing. Everyone must disbelieve it, for tale-bearers are corrupt. Therefore, I am corrupt, you are corrupt, and our information is unacceptable, and Muslims have to hate us for the sake of Allah. So I must be hated. My information must be disbelieved. I am corrupt. My information is not acceptable, even if it is 100% Islamic from the Quran, for instance, and I must be hated for the sake of Allah. I am detestable in Allah's sight, and hating for the sake of Allah is obligatory.
Lloyd?
Yes?
So they want us to flatter them.
Yes.
Okay, and when the Antichrist comes, right, he flatters.
Correct.
So they're going to love him.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Thank you.
you see, when the purpose of lying is to circumvent someone who's preventing one from doing something permissible, and then obligatory to lie, if the goal is obligatory, it is obligatory for Muslims to lie. Okay? So it is, when it is possible to achieve such an aim by lying, but not by telling the truth, it is permissible to lie. And obligatory to lie if the goal is obligatory. So it says very clearly, it is not unlawful to lie when any of these aims can only be attained through lying. Okay, it is more precautionary to employ words that give a misleading impression, that deceive. But lying is obligatory. It is lawful. Therefore, Satan, the father of lies, must be the father of Islam.
Yes.
So, any comments or questions, guys, before I move on to cover something else?
That tells us a lot. It tells us it hits the nail right on the head where we start asking, why do they keep saying these things? Why do we keep claiming that our friend out of Houston, Texas, why do we keep saying, well, why is he lying to us? Why does he think that he can get away with this? And this explains it right there. Right, that's perfect.
Yeah, I can go into greater depth.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig up the link. People have asked for the link for the YouTube, and I'm trying to dig that up. But keep on charging ahead. I'll find it.
The link that you sent me for the YouTube show?
No, not the. I'm sorry, the Facebook.
Yeah, so they're starting. Yeah, the people are going to the Facebook link now, as you can see in the comments. Rob Krause went to the Facebook, and yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So now we've covered that. Right. So is there anything else? Does anyone have any questions?
No, I'm actually, I think this is more thorough than most reviews of Sharia that I've seen. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I can go into much more depth on any given topic, but in the interest of time, of course, I'm just trying to give an overview for everyone to show them that, look, we can start here and there's more to be discovered if we bother to look. Now, this is the Hedaya. This is the Hedaya. It is the most complex of the Sharia manuals, or one of the most. This is the major Sharia manual for the Hanafi school of fiqh, which is the largest one, right? It's 4 volumes. It's nearly 2,700 pages. And when an imam goes away for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years to go and study, to get his PhD in Islamic law, to become a judge or a sheikh to give fatwas, the Hedaya is probably the final manual that he's going to study, because it's the
What school is that? Did you say, Lloyd? What school?
Hanafi, the Hanafi.
Hanafi, okay.
Yeah, but don't get too hung up on what school it is, because they're all the same. They differ. Now Muslims say, oh, they differ on schools, and scholars differ. Sure, they differ on 20. They differ on minor issues. Do you hold your hands up by your ears when you pray? Do you hold it down by your belly button? That doesn't affect Islam in any way. The doctrine's not affected in any way. Nothing substantial. That is purely, what would you call that? That's just cosmetic.
Yes.
Whereas they agree on 80% of the fundamental issues. They agree across the board. So understand. So don't get too hung up. And sometimes a given scholar in one school has become the authority on a given topic. So all the schools go to that guy, no matter what school he's in. They all go to him and his works for his opinion on that topic. And then another topic is another guy in another school, and they all go to that guy because he's the big guy on that. So they crisscross constantly. Now, for instance, Muslims say there's no such thing as amputation. Well, this is book 8, okay, of the Hedaya. And notice here, of thefts which occasion amputation, and of thefts which do not, and of the manner of cutting off the limb of a thief. Now, notice we have at least 40 pages of this particular information. So you've got numerous pages on when to cut off his arms and legs and feet and how to do so. Understand, this can never be abrogated. This is the final authority in Islam. This is what Muslims really do not want you to know, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
this is still the Reliance of the Traveler book?
No, this is the Hedaya.
Okay.
So I will show you here. This is the Hedaya. Actually, just jump here, it'll be clearer. The Hedaya. the commentary on the Muslim laws. This was translated in 1791 by the Brits because they were responsible for the Hind, which was India, Pakistan, and they needed to respect customary law or regional law. And so the British judges had to know what the Islamic law was. So they translated this so they could work with those judges in their regions.
Okay.
Can we find this in? Can you find this online, or is this?
Of course, in my archive. It's in my archive.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's in my archive.
Right.
It's in my Google archive. You'll find the link to that.
Right.
Now,
send that to me.
It's in the. Didn't I put that in the Google Drive, guys? I put Lloyd's
Google Drive link if you have it.
I have it. I have it, Lloyd. I put it in Google Drive. I'll get it to. Don't worry about it.
Let me share this with everyone now, so I can send my link to everyone. Actually, here we go. It's the Hedaya Volume 2 specifically that I'm referencing. I use most of the time. I'm dropping it in the private chat. So Hedaya Volume 2, there it is. In the private chat, you can copy and paste that for everyone.
Okay.
Okay, I see it, Eric. Thank you, sir.
Right. So let us go to my slides, and I will bring up some notes with regards to that. So now, the Sharia is the Muslim Talmud. Now, this is obviously the opportunity for anti-Semites to come and explain their conspiracy theories of how the Jews got together with Bigfoot and the Illuminati to take over the world, and are involved with Superman and, from an alternate universe and so whatever. Now, I've studied the Talmud in depth. I spent a lot of time on it for a series I did. I did very, very deep shows on the Talmud, so I understand it, I think, better than anyone else that I've discussed it with. And while Islam has plagiarized the Talmud, it has also inverted and corrupted its teachings. This is not to say, obviously I'm not a Jew, so I don't follow the Talmud. This is not to say the Talmud is necessarily holy, but if we're going to discuss it, we should discuss it without lying about it. And this is what people do. They do lie about it. They misrepresent it. That said, the Talmud and Islam are not exactly the same, but the Sharia functions like the Talmud does in Judaism. It is the Islamic Talmud. So I'm going to jump through a handful of things here. So notice, this is just discussing an introduction to the secrets and weaknesses. If a Quran is bought, okay, if a Quran is purchased for someone, it is obligatory that the person be Muslim. Now, the cat's out of the bag. It's too late. It's 21st century. It's too late now. But the law does state, right, that it is obligatory that Qurans only be given to Muslims, right? Because even as a convert, an imam is supposed to interpret it for you, to lecture you about it, to guide you through it, not for you to go and read it yourself. That's why many Muslims don't actually sit down and read it. They don't actually know it that well, because the imam is the one who teaches it to them. The same is true of books of hadith and books containing the words and deeds of the early Muslims. Quran in this context means any work that contains some of the Quran, even a slight amount. This ruling even holds for any religious books like the Tabaqat of Shar'ani, which is just a biography of a bunch of important Muslim scholars. So they have for many centuries kept this secret. It's only in the late 20th century, in fact in the 21st century, that these things were translated, got on the internet, and the cat escaped out of the bag. Right? Now do notice here, here's one example. It is wrong for Muslims to teach questions of sacred law to those learning it in bad faith, who do not want the knowledge to apply it in their lives. By this they mean to become Muslims or to become better Muslims, to convert or to become better Muslims, to follow the Sharia more strictly. But it is illegal to teach sacred law to those learning it in bad faith. I am learning it in bad faith. You guys are learning it in bad faith. And we must be stopped using commanding the right and forbidding the wrong, which I showed earlier. So,
okay, this is exactly why this stuff never gets out, is because if somebody actually has a good understanding of the Sharia, then, number one, it's illegal for them to teach a commoner or a non-Muslim, a kafir, the Sharia. And therefore, they would, when they go to opine about it, then they would just be categorized as somebody that is unlearned, is not a scholar in the Sharia, and they're not a scholar in the Sharia to begin with, is because they never can be, because they're a non-Muslim. So this is I didn't know this is there. This is perfect. This is crazy.
All right. Yeah. So I'm not going to do every slide, but I'm just going to introduce saying what's what. Okay. Now, I want to mention. We're going to skip over this. Now, this is one of the major teachings where Muslims hide this from us, but as Christians, you need to be aware of it. This is why interfaith dialogue will always fail, with all the good intentions in the world, because this is the official consensus from all the schools, from all the scholars on Christianity. So let's look at what the Sharia tells us. This is the finality of the Prophet's message, right? This section is translated to clarify possible confusions among Muslims as to Islam's place amongst world religions. Previously revealed religions were valid in their own eras, as is attested by the Quran, but were all abrogated by the universal message of Islam, as is equally attested by many verses of the Quran. So now, understand, David Wood goes and says, well, but the Quran says that Christianity is still valid in the Bible, and they don't care. Understand? Because according to their interpretation, that is not the case. They don't care what you think. They care what they think. And according to their own ijma, their consensus, Christianity is abrogated. Judaism is abrogated. Every other religion is abrogated. Both points are worthy of attention from English-speaking Muslims who are occasionally exposed to erroneous theories advanced by some teachers and Quran translators that affirm these religions' validity, but that deny or do not mention their abrogation, or that it is unbelief, it is kufr, right? And kufr brings the death penalty, to hold that the remnant cults now bearing the names of formerly valid religions, such as Christianity or Judaism, are acceptable to Allah after he sent Muhammad to the entire world. This is a matter over which there is no disagreement among Islamic scholars. Islam is the final religion that Allah will never lessen or abrogate.
So they actually stole, thou shalt not steal. That's what they're doing.
Well, this is also what would be, this is also exposing what we would call hate speech as part of their doctrine.
Yeah, they're trying to erase us. That's the
point. Mm-hmm. That's probably why if there's anything they would try and shut down via YouTube, the exposure, they continually shut down the exposure of people who hate. That's what YouTube does. They don't like the idea that you expose people who are haters. And that's a lot of what Crossing the Crescent has been doing. So,
well, don't forget, according to Islamic law, I am a talebearer. I am spreading hate. Remember, I am corrupt. I am spreading lies. I must be disbelieved.
Yet all you're doing is showing us the documents.
Right.
And that's so in the Western concept of scholarship, you're considered a scholar because you're not telling us what we would call tales. You're providing information and backup to what you're saying. In fact, more of what you're doing is quoting from these sources.
Yeah, you're just reading
that's
it.
A huge difference. Yeah.
Correct. Mm-hmm. But understand, according to Islamic law, if it embarrasses Islam, it is false, even if it is Islamic. Now, let me show you something related to this, okay? This is a book called The Summary. This is a summary, but this is called The Unsheathed Sword Against the One Who Insults Muhammad. Not against the one who insults Allah, the one who insults. Notice this is a threat. Taking out your sword to use against someone who insults Muhammad. Let's have a look at this. This is the official ruling on people who insult Islam, okay? And let's have a look here. So, Eric, if you can just read, there are 4 chapters. If you can just read the titles of the first 3 chapters for me.
Sure. Okay. Whoever insults the prophet is to be killed, whether they are Muslim or a disbeliever. That's kind of scary. The second, killing is prescribed on him, the one who insults the prophet, and is not permissible to imprison or show favor to him or to ransom him. The third one, any Muslim or non-Muslim who insults the prophet is to be killed, and repentance is not sought from him. We got going to a fourth one, or is that?
No, that's fine. Are you seeing a pattern forming here?
I see the pattern that if you insult Muhammad or criticize what he did, make public what he did, then
you're dead.
Killed.
Exactly.
Islam is murder. Islam is murder.
Now, the contents of this book concern the Islamic ruling upon those who insult the final prophet, Muhammad. Okay, that's what this book is about. This is the law. Now, this is the definitive text on the topic of insulting Muhammad and what happens. The objective of this work is to clarify the Islamic ruling on this subject. The one who insults Muhammad, the Prophet, whether Muslim or non-Muslim, is to be killed. They are to be killed even if they pay a protective tax in a Muslim state. And, right, so let's continue here. Whoever insults the Prophet is to be killed. This is the general view of the scholars. The scholars have consensus that whoever insults him is to be killed. This is Malik, Layth, Ahmad, Ishaq, and Ashafi also said this. The Muslims have unanimous agreement upon killing whoever insults Muhammad. It is the ruling that whoever insults other than Muhammad is to be lashed. And the lashing can kill you. This consensus is taken to be the consensus from the Tabi'in and the companions of Allah's Messenger. Let's continue here.
When they said tabi'un, what was that word? What the tabi'un?
Tabi'un. So the companions, the tabi'un are so they were the companions, and then there were the followers of the companions, and those are the tabi'in. Those are the guys who. So basically, in that chain, the first three generations of Muslims, the best ones.
Okay. So this
companions,
would be like
the followers.
These would be like early church fathers or something on those lines.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that line. Yeah. Notice there is consensus upon the obligation of killing such a person. Right? And the Muslims have consensus that whoever insults Allah or insults his messenger or rejects anything from what has been revealed by Allah, such a person is a disbeliever. Now, understand, we do not accept anything that comes from Allah, so we are disbelievers. And I do not know anyone who differed concerning the obligation of killing such a person. And the scholars have consensus that whoever insults Muhammad, now here they define insulting Muhammad, that means you attribute a defect to him. In other words, Muhammad is less than perfect. Anyone who makes the claim, who dares to claim that Muhammad is less than perfect, has insulted Muhammad, because Muhammad is the perfect man, and therefore you must be killed as an apostate. The Muslim who insults is killed. There is no disagreement concerning that. And this is the view of the four Imams and others. And it continues. There is no difference of opinion narrated from him concerning the killing. Right? They speak of here, Muslim and disbeliever are to be killed. And in several hadith, from them the hadith of the blind man who killed a woman when he heard her insulting the Prophet. Murder is legal in Islam for these reasons. And I will show you other sources from the Sharia as well. Okay? So all of them mention that the one who insults the messenger is to be killed. I think I'm making my point here, right? But I'll show you one last item. Political assassination is legal in Islam. Okay? So, take that which comes concerning the Prophet and his companions of killing. So, in other words, take those lessons, take heed of those lessons of Muhammad and his companions killing people due to the likes of these reasons. They call this the political killing. It is for the Imam to give a discretionary punishment with killing. In other words, an Islamic Imam can order a political hit. He is empowered to order a political assassination.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't they have to give that order at least once a year?
Twice a year, yeah, usually every 6 months. But yes, they must.
Okay.
They must look. It can be worldwide. Yeah, at least once.
Something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Depends who you ask. Twice a year, once a year, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then,
Eric, any comments from you? Sorry.
So, Eric, did you want to go or me?
No, that's okay. That's great. Keep going, Lloyd.
Okay, so actually, let me find.
Oh, no, I forgot. I forgot what I was going to say, but this is Sunnah. This is when we talk about how Muhammad ordered the killings of people for criticizing him, writing poetry, singing satirical songs about him that weren't flattering. This is exactly what you would find, and this is exactly what we find in the law. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm actually looking for a particular. Actually, I need to find a particular resource, section 02. Okay, so there's actually something. Okay, I'm going to first go to P75.2. So let me just go get that. So let me go to two things that'll explain a little bit Muhammad. Then I need to find another reference. So to explain the status of Muhammad in Islam and how they've plagiarized Christianity, how they've tried to make him into a copy of Jesus. So I'll show you here. Here it is. Okay. Now, this is within the Sharia about how Muslims must regard Muhammad. So this is the sin or the crime of not loving the Prophet more than all people. Muslims are to revere Muhammad more than all people. Right. This is in the Reliance of the Traveler, section P75.2. In the PDF, it's page 718. And it says here, the Prophet said, none of you believes until I am more beloved to you than your wife, your child, yourself, and all people. Now, if he's just a prophet like Moses, Jews are not commanded to love Moses more than their wife, more than their child, more than their life, more than their family, more than their mother and their father. But Muslims are commanded within Sharia to love Muhammad more. Thou shalt love the Lord thy Muhammad with all thy heart and all thy soul, and be willing to die and kill for him.
This really puts it into perspective when we start saying that Muhammad is Allah and Allah is Muhammad. According
I can jump
Quran.
onto that topic for you too.
Yeah, well, this is a great illustration of it. I mean, there's all kinds of different instances of it, but this hits it right to the T.